Welcome to class today. We're going to be exploring the feeling of grace and beauty, and we're going to be tapping in a little bit to the work we did in our last class, which was all about sovereignty, and really just finding our feet, stretching our bodies to create more space, more capacity in our beings, and doing some really beautiful movements. So we're going to start off in a standing position, and we're actually going to go through very, very simple sun salutation type movements. And each time we bring our hands into a prayer at our hearts, into a prayer above us, we're going to think about just allowing in whatever it is that we most need today. And it could consciously be cultivating. So as you're listening to me, already starting to let this happen. It could be that you're consciously cultivating an intention. Could be that you know exactly what you need, or it could just be that you are allowing yourself to receive what you need to receive, which may become known, or it may be mysterious. And often when I do a meditation, I'll just be open to receiving whatever it is that I need to receive. And sometimes when I do that, sometimes what comes is much bigger than anything that I could have thought for myself. So let's allow that to be a possibility. And let's see if I can adjust my screen to get my floor in as well as me without chopping my head off. That's always the tricky bit a little bit. And let's bring our hands into, okay, bear with me. I've just clicked all the wrong buttons that I don't want to be clicking. There we go. All right, let's bring our hands to our hearts, and let's actually not put them together. Let's actually go into this position that we've done before, where the feeling is as though we're holding our hearts. We're holding the energy, the energetic space, the form, the physical form. And of course, as we're just starting, we're just, to start, it's like, oh, there's just the shadow or the edge of coming into the class, arriving. And imagine that it is actually like a ceremony of arriving, that we take this moment to acknowledge our arrival, to acknowledge that indeed we are stepping in to sacred work with other sacred women with whom we have a beautiful connection. And so here we are. And here we are both in real time. And also for those who watch the recording afterwards, here we are in this time gap, but connected still. And so my heart expands out to you through geography and through time. And I know in exchange that each of you are finding that, the truth in that too, and the sharing of that. And so just a couple of times before we begin the more yoga-like movements, let's just imagine that we gather energy from above and we just bring it down, the palms face down, the feet are about hip-width apart, just very, very soft and quite slow, not even connected to the breath, but just a feeling of, so we're cleansing the body. Just a few times, the arms going up and down, and then we're going to scoop from below, from the rich earth beneath us, and bring a feeling of movement up through the body and out, cascading around us, cleansing and clearing and coming in tune with your being, noticing your body. And being able to sigh, to let the rest of the day go so that you truly arrive. And then if it's okay on your spine, we can do this movement. To make it less of a twist if you need to, you can turn each foot out in the direction that you are moving. Or you could even, just to make it more focused on the upper back, you can do this where it's just a tree and arm movement. So your two choices, this movement, or perhaps less twist on the low back if the low back is achy, is this movement. Or both. But it doesn't matter. Really, we're just letting some space into this tight spots that we need to move. We need to move and we need to exhale. Letting breath in is so often about letting the breath out. Finding a longer exhale than inhale. And then gently shaking your fingers. Shaking your wrists. And keep just letting the exhale be that little bit more of an emphasis than the inhale. And the elbows, the shoulders, and then let's bow the chin to the chest. And very slowly take the ear over to one shoulder. Take your head slightly behind your shoulder so that the orientation of the stretch changes. And then bring your head back down, chin to chest, shoulders relaxed and heavy. And to the other side, finding the place where the muscles most need the stretch. And the shoulders, the arms are heavy, hanging from the shoulders. Belly is really soft. And one more time, bring your chin to your chest. The arms heavy. The head bowing. And slowly, your ear goes across to one side, and your chin ever so slightly arcs upwards, and you find the stretch that you would most need. Taking the chin slightly further up so that we find the stretch a little bit more in the front side of the throat and neck. Really consciously making the arms heavy. And then gently bring your head down. And let your head become heavy. And see if you can bring it right down to your chest. And ever so slightly slump so that your arms are hanging in front of you. And then straightening your back, straightening your spine, and bringing your head to the other side. And lifting your chin slightly more, so slightly leaning back, so that the stretch is the side of the neck and the side front of your throat. Breathing. Your arms are heavy. And then gently just bring your head to center. And do quite a small bounce. Thighs are soft, front and back. Calves are soft. Glutes are soft. Everything's jiggling and moving. Belly is really soft, so that it feels like your solar plexus can expand and soften. A deep feeling of relief in the center of your body. That feeling like being able to let go, release the hold. Imagine you just don't need to hold on. You don't need to hold so tightly. And this gentle movement up and down, just creating a bit more space within the body cavities, chest, belly. Thighs relaxed, calves relaxed. And finding your place of balance, not too far forwards, not too far back, and that's what's going to help you to not use too much energy in your thighs. You need to be really balanced over your feet. You're not leaning forwards, you're not leaning back. So if you just adjust yourself forwards and backwards a couple of times, just to find the place. Just, and then slowing down and coming to this movement. The hands, imagining that we're brushing the surface of a lake, a river. And connecting to the underground water, the rivers and streams, the springs, underground. And as your hands move, it's as though you're clearing the water, cleansing until it's sparkling. In your place, in your geography, clearing, cleansing the water around and beneath your home. As though this is your sacred work, as though in your wise woman ways you have the capacity to clear, to cleanse, to nurture and tend the land and the water. Feel the stillness of the space around you. And then change the circle the opposite direction. Your fingers are soft and open. And as you move your hands, you feel the water around you, behind you, deep beneath the earth. And you can imagine too the water moving into the roots of trees, the roots of plants, all these vessels, all the life that's drinking the sweet, crystal clear water. And slowing that down even more for one last circle. And then just bringing your hands either side, palms looking down, the legs strong but not gripping, and the low back feeling soft and open. And then releasing your hands, bringing them into a prayer below you. And you're going to draw up with your fingertips whatever it is that you want to cultivate or the unknown. And then just let your arms come up above you and separate. And then draw down in a prayer, an intention or a blessing. And pause briefly at your heart, connecting the blessing from above and below with your heart. And then place this blessing on the ground. So you're going to bend forwards and you're going to do a forward bend. Your hands touch the earth. You find your way with your knees bent, a gentle stretch, and then step your right leg back into a high lunge and come into warrior one type shape. The arms going up above you. You can look up or you can look forwards, shoulders relaxed. And feel as though you're just reconnecting, just as you were reaching up at the beginning of the little sequence that we've just started, reconnecting into that same feeling of potential source of energy above you. And then bringing your hands down to the ground, and you're going to straighten as much as you can this front leg. So we get a bit of a stretch through the front leg with the fingertips in kind of a tripod on the ground. Beautiful. Bowing over the front leg. Not worrying about the perfection of the shape, just finding your body's way into this shape. And then slowly stepping forward so your feet come side by side. Hands on the ground, pause for a second. And then slowly come up like a ragdoll. And if you want, in this ragdoll position, you can roll the shoulders. So you kind of twist your way up. One shoulder and the other shoulder. You can try, see how that is for you. And then from there, you're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring the hands down. And we're going to draw the arms up. And then take the arms above you. Reach up to the sky. Connect with the sky above you. And then bring your hands down, pausing at your heart. Feel the connection to your heart. And then place your hands like an earth prayer, planting the grace of all that you receive into the earth, connecting with the earth, connecting with the water beneath, And step your left leg back and come up into a high lunge. Just reaching the arms above you, reconnecting. So your movement, as we connect really to the magic around us, above us, beneath us, as we connect to nature, the movement feels beautiful and it feels graceful because it's so rich with aliveness of connection to the elements around us. And then bring your hands down, finding the ground, fingertips to the ground. And as much as you can, maybe just a little bit, straightening the front leg. And just letting your body soften into the shape with time, with the movement of your breath. And then step forward so your left foot comes to meet your right foot. Plant your hands back down on the ground and bow for a few breaths. And then slowly come back up like a rag doll. And if you want, you can roll the shoulders. You've got to keep your belly engaged, the abdominal muscles engaged as you do this, just to protect your low back. And then once again, let's do it a few more times. So the hands are going to come up as though we're drawing some kind of energetic something, some magic from the earth. And then just reaching up above you. And bring the hands together above you. And draw down from the heavens to your heart. Pause here. Pause for a moment. This is deeply, deeply sacred work. Centering. And simple. Bring your hands down to the earth and plant blessings into the ground. And then step your right leg back. Come into high lunge. In this graceful movement, to feel even more of the grace, let's use the arms. The grace of a bird with the most beautiful wings. Letting your hands, your fingers feel like feathers brushing the air around you. Shoulders relaxed. Move from your elbows and then the back of your hands, your wrists, all the way up. And then finally let the fingertips reach up. And then palms pressing away from you as you bring your hands down. Feeling this beautiful stretch through the right side of your body. One more time. Elbows lift. Back of the hands rises. Reaching up. Feeling the openness of the ribs. The hands just feeling graceful above you. Feel the strength of your body to be able to hold this position. And then slowly bringing your hands down in a way that brings your heart down towards the earth, bowing, and straighten a little bit the front leg, pausing, letting your body have time to make this shape. Breathing. And then stepping forwards. And the hands can either go on the ground, or if you want, you can just bring them behind your legs and hold
your calves or your ankles, and just bowing. Breathing in and breathing out, holding this. And then rolling up like a rag doll, knees bent, abdominal muscles supporting us. And then one more. The hands go into a prayer, fingers pointing at the ground, drawing energy up through you, or allowing it to be whatever comes to mind. Bringing the hands up above you, reaching up and opening the hands. And then bringing the hands together above you, drawing a prayer down to your heart. Pausing here. Enriching the feeling. And then from your heart to the ground, bringing your hands back down. Stepping your left leg back, coming into the high lunge. The arms are going to go up. And then we're going to find our wings, find the grace, elbows, palms pressing away, fingers fanned, elbows lifting, back of the hands, pushing up against the air, reaching up, such grace and strength. And then the palms pushing away. Fingers coming down, fingers spread. One more. Elbows rising, shoulders sinking. Back of the hands lifting. Fingers open, delicate, graceful. Palms pressing away. Feeling the strength of your body as you hold this position. And then starting to move, to shift your body forwards over the front leg as the front leg straightens a little bit and the fingers touch the ground and we bow over the front leg. Breathing. And then bending both legs to step forwards, planting your hands on the ground or gently holding the back of your ankles, the Achilles tendon, and folding. And then from here, slowly rolling back up. Pause just for a second. With your hands just back into a prayer position or with your elbows by your sides holding. This feeling of your heart and energy. And then letting that go. Let's find 2 more yoga postures. Let's find the shape of them with our bodies. Let's step the feet apart for triangle posture. We'll do triangle posture, which is this one. And we'll also do extended side angle, which needs the legs wider apart, which is this one or this one. So let me talk you into those. So the feet are a good distance apart. And you're going to have, in the direction that we go, the toes are pointed in that direction. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you've done it so many times that it's easy. And then we hinge with our bodies and we bring our hand down to the ankle and the other one goes up. And both of our legs are straight. And if you imagine that there is a wall behind you, it's the feeling of opening the chest to kind of lean back against the wall, not so much that we spill behind ourselves. There's a nice straight line through the arms, all the way up. And this is actually what we're going to focus on for a moment. We're going to bring our hands, our top hand down, and we're going to run it along the body as much as possible, and then up. So we're going to bring the arm down, just feeling the skin of our being, appreciating this body. Appreciate and give love to your body. One more time. And then just hold the openness for a couple of breaths. Bend the front knee a little bit, coming back up and turning to the other side. Your feet adjust. This hip is slightly oriented inwards. Arms rise level with the shoulders. Pausing for a second. Feel the spaciousness as your limbs extend out and away from you. Feel how much space we're creating. And then reach out and down. Find the posture. Reaching down and reaching up. And then with appreciation, reach down with the top arm. And gently trace your hands along your body, and then the arm goes back up. And just do that a few times. With love for this body that holds this life, that holds the expression of you. Do that one more time, or twice if you want. And then finally, just holding the posture. And then coming up. Spaciousness, we reach our arms out. Legs go a little bit wider. And then we turn back to the first side and we're going to sink down. And the knee, we don't want it to go too far over, so we want to keep it at this 90-degree angle. And if it feels like it wants to go beyond 90 degrees, it just means we need a bit more space between the legs. Coming down with the forearm, resting it on your knee. If you're quite flexible, you can reach down and bring your hand to the inside of your foot. And then let's just make this shape. So we reach down and we reach up, and if you want, you can bring the hand over. I'm lacking space over here. My hand should be straight. And just breathing. Lean back into your legs, so whether your arm is here or down, we want to push this leg back a little bit. Really just the feeling of openness through your chest. And the strength, of course, in your legs, your glutes, but without rigidity. And let's just come up from there. So we just hold it just for a moment, and then we go to the other side. And then we go down into the posture with our forearm resting slightly on the inside of the knee so that we can press the knee back, and the arm can go up or it can go over. You can also reach down and up. Just finding a shape that feels good, feels like a beautiful stretch, has some power and grace and beauty. Breathing in slowly and out slowly. And then let's come up from here. We're going to do one more stronger stretch. We're going to keep the legs apart. And if my hands or feet, the toes are ever so slightly turned in, not turned out. And then from there, we just go into a forward bend. And we can place the hands on the ground, or we could interlace them behind and bring the arms up and over. And you're just going to go forward, and you're going to hold this posture of a forward bend with the legs out wide for 5 to 10 breaths, depending on how fast or slowly you breathe. You want to have, keep holding the posture, you want to have your legs straight. You want to have a feeling of firm pressure on the big toe side of the foot so that you're not rolling into the outside of your ankles. And you want in this one to bring your weight slightly forwards, as though you're bringing your weight just in front of your ankles. So you're not gripping with your toes, but you're also not leaning back into your heels. And then from here, simply coming back up. Bring your feet towards each other. And just take a little walk. Just meandering around your room. Just for a moment, just noticing how your body is. And notice how your heart feels, your mind feels. And just as you take stock of your body and your being, just taking stock of what it is that you need to cultivate as your thing going forwards. What do you need to cultivate in this second part of the class as we come towards the end? And then gently bring your hands, and as we've done many times, just rubbing in with small fists into your back. Just finding the place in your back that needs that little bit of attention. With some awareness of the kidneys, the organs that are a little bit more in the back part of the abdominal cavity than the front. Having tended the water under our homes, kidneys are organs of water, and the feeling of gravity, the feeling of downward movement, the water draining. And then bring your hands into the glutes and kind of fists and just gently rubbing, or strongly if you want, kneading. Finding your way around your glutes. And then the hands to the sides of the thighs, rubbing up and down. If you want, you can add a bouncing movement, or just rock your hips side to side. And then bring your hands to the top part where your hip crest is, and just find your way massaging in and around that. And then bringing the hands around your belly, massaging in circles, up and across and down. And then bring one hand to the throat. Bring it all the way down, front of the body to the pubic bone. Really just honoring this pathway of air, but also the esophagus down to the stomach for food. You can actually do this as a really nice digestive energy exercise before or after you eat, especially if you feel a little full or you get heartburn. And then do it with your hand just an inch off the body. And with the palm so that it actually faces down. And then pluck. You go through just a couple of these movements to support the organs. Just plucking and just noticing where your hands want to go, noticing whether there's a resonance right now. So for me, kind of around where my liver is, that feels like it needs to get rid of a bit of stuff. And again, after eating, this can be a really nice, so it's just a feeling of kind of plucking and getting rid of. And it might be a little higher up. You can do it anywhere in the body. It could be an area of injury. It could go to the knees, to the hips, anywhere in the body. It's cleansing, clearing, anything else. Being intuitive about it. With curiosity. Then we're going to bring our hands to the sides of our arms and just rubbing the sides of the arms. And then the other arm. And this is the fire And the fire zone, which obviously it being summer, we don't need to tend to too much, but when we're cold, this is quite a nice place to energetically warm up and tap into some inner heat, letting that go. And then one more, or maybe a couple more, let's see. For the hands, we're gonna go in kind of like chopsticks into the groin. We're gonna warm up, wriggling the butt side to side, liver channel, and of course the groin and all the structures that pass through, up and down to the legs and from the legs. And then smoothing and deep appreciation. Smoothing all around the legs, insides, outsides. And down over the knees, the shins, the calves, the inside of the legs. And then coming back up. And take another tiny little walk. And notice now, as we give more time, more movement, it kind of becomes like a retreat. Let go of more, we become more centered. A little movement retreat in the middle of the day, the end of the day. This is today's class, a little movement retreat, grace and beauty. Spaciousness for our beings. Bringing your hands up. Let's do a tiny little bit of cleansing. Do you remember last class we were holding our hands like this with the image of a sphere? And the sphere, we're going to let it fill with crystal clear energy or with light so that it can become a vessel for clearing our bodies, activating. And then we're going to bring it up above our heads, as high as you want. And we're going to let it come down through our head, clearing the mind, clearing your brain, clearing your face. Just let it move through you. Let it clear. And as you come down, your arms go in front of you, but you can still imagine that it is moving through you, through the center of your being. All the way down through your body to your pelvis. Pause at your pelvis. And imagine that this sphere is big enough to encompass pelvis, pelvic bowl, pelvic floor, the organs inside. Especially as women, we have so much here. And so we can just pause and hold an awareness for this area of our body, whatever the experiences have been. And then bring the sphere, over to one leg and slowly work the sphere down through the leg, through the thigh, to your knee. Pausing anywhere that needs a moment. All the way down Letting it come right down through your ankle and foot and down into the earth. And let it receive the nourishment of the earth and the spring water and the beautiful water that you tended and the roots of trees. Wherever your imagination lights up, and then bring it back up slowly up through your leg, cleansing still with this incredible sphere of energy. And let's bring it all the way up the right side of the body. And then down the right arm. Just imagining it rolling through, down the arm to your hand. And then slowly letting it come back up. And let's bring it back down through the center of the body to the left leg. And let's take it down through the left leg, down to the earth, pausing anywhere we need to pause. And when it finds the earth, let it come in contact with the energy of nature, of earth. And then whenever it feels ready, just bring it back up. Cleansing, cleansing, cleansing. Up through the left leg and the left side of the body, to the left arm. Letting it go down the left arm. And then just bringing it back in front of your chest. And let it go. And take another tiny little walk. And let's do one more posture, one more movement, I should say, form. Let's come into the lung form that we've done a couple of times the last couple of classes. So we're going to bring our hands just in front of this space, just below the collarbones, not out to the sides, but just in front of the sides of the chest. And the hands, just very simply, going to go down, tracing the air, and then back up. And the elbows rise, the palms look in for a moment at this place below the collarbones, and then we open out, palms look forwards. The elbows come in, slowly, slowly the hands come in, and then down. So just following along, at first just the mechanics of the movement, before you can slip in just to the feeling of the movement, and the movement becomes automatic. But knowing that the process of learning a movement, our brains need to engage in a certain way to coordinate and learn. So this is the movement. So there's the elbows rising, palms coming up, looking for a moment at the torso, And then the arms opening, palms looking forwards. And then the elbows coming back in to bring the hands back in to look forwards, either side of the chest. And then the fingertips brushing the air and down. There's this movement back of the hands lifting heavily. Pausing, looking in at the chest. And then opening. The elbows coming back in. Palms going down. Arms, the hands lifting, opening. Slight sinking with your knees. And actually a rising movement, straightening the legs as the hands go down. Sinking slightly with your knees as the hands go up. And then rising, growing tall as the hands open. Sinking slightly as the hands come back into the sides of the body. Rising, growing tall as the hands go down. Let's keep doing this. So we sink ever so slightly. Finding the linking between the movements. We rise, grow tall. We sink once again as the hands come back in. And then as we push the hands down, we straighten the legs. Bending your knees. Let's do 2 more cycles. Bending the knees as your hands come up and the palms turn to look to your chest. Straightening the legs as we open. Palms looking forwards. Bending your knees ever so slightly as your arms come back in. And then straightening the legs, rising as the hands push down. 1 more. Bending your knees, let your hands rise slowly up. Opening the chest, opening the hands. Pause here. Pause in this position of openness. Just allowing yourself to be open. And then sink a little. Bring your elbows in and your hands back. Pause here. Just feel this place. Feel the center of your palms alive. And then slowly, slowly brush the fingers down through the air. And then bring your hands one over the other so that beneath you is a staff, a walking stick. The elbows are relaxed and your hands are as high or as low as you want them to be. And lean slightly forward so your weight is on a little bit more on the balls of your feet. Not too much, still the heels are in contact. Find your place and feel the connection of the staff, the walking stick down into the earth. That strong support. Just hold this as a standing meditation. The elbows relaxed. And notice in your mind's eye where you are. Have you gone to a hilltop in your mind? Or are you right here in your room? What is the view in your mind's eye that brings you whatever wellness you need right now? And as we come to the close of class, imagine that this posture can help to seal into your being, to hold to you, to root you, connect you, all the goodness, the spaciousness, the blessings that you've received. Let that be stabilized and steady in your being. Knowing that the blessings, the stability, the spaciousness that you've received in this class gets to stay. It's set, it's perfect. And softly letting the posture go, and let's pause and just come back to connect and wish each other well. And before we start talking, I say, as I keep talking, let's just bring our hands to our hearts. And just acknowledge that this, and as we gather here, this is such beautiful, nourishing, sacred work. And we choose to show up, to be here. And let's extend that out, because there are others, a few others who aren't here right now. But let's just extend our love out to those that are missing in this class, and those we might not even know who maybe will watch this at some point. And just as we weave and allow sense of a sacred circle, sacred connection, so blessed to be here. I am so blessed to be here with you. Sending our gratitude and our love out around the circle, through the known and the unknown beings, the women. And just receiving the nourishment as though we come to the edge of a well or a spring, and we can drink the waters. And we can also drink in the support of one another. And now let's just have a moment of connection with words before we say goodbye. So if you could each unmute yourselves. And then, perfect. And then I just love to hear how you are, how your being is, what blessings you feel as though you're receiving and received. Anything else? Claire, let's start with you again.
Firstly, thank you. That was beautiful. Really, I feel very light and glowy. and it was very strengthening and nourishing, and I felt a lot of support. It's just made me realise lots of funny things have happened today that I'd noticed but not acknowledged, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel there's a lot of people who've passed over suddenly around me, and they've been trying to send me messages, and I haven't noticed. And suddenly they're all there, and that's just magical. And they're telling me to get on with everything like they used to do when they were here. But I've been doing a really good job of stagnating, not trusting myself. So I'm going to do that now. You know, when it's never the right time, is it?
Great.
So thank you. So that was lovely. So thank you very much. I feel very lit.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, Debbie, how are you?
Oh, I could have just gone off to sleep, to be quite honest. I think while I was standing, I jilted, so I must have been about to drift off, which was great. Yeah, I could have just cheerfully. It was before you started the standing meditation. I was thinking, oh, I'd love Lucy to do a little meditation. And then you did one, so that was quite handy. I quite liked the well, I liked all of it, not quite liked. When we paused and then just had a little walk around and just the difference. But, you know, although I wouldn't necessarily be able to explain, I knew I felt different every time. But not easy to put into words as such. But yes, just what I needed. Nice, just to think back down and just not get caught up with oh my god, I've got so much to do. It's like, oh, I'll do it when I can. It will get done. Not be, overly worried about stuff like that. And gratitude. Well, I'm doing the law of attraction at the moment, so gratitude all the time. And it is amazing how many little things you just think, wow, I'm just really grateful of that, and really grateful of that. And there's just loads of things every day, very small things that maybe would, if you didn't sit there and sort of think about them, they would be very blasé and just not, could be insignificant, but actually, no, they're not insignificant, because any of those little things are just nice as well. Doesn't have to be the big things, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so nice. And thank you for coming. Thank you for being so nice that we found a time today that you could be here, because you're so busy with your granddaughter.
I've been very good for Mondays, with obviously looking after my granddaughter, which is obviously lovely as well. But so when you said a Thursday, I was like, oh yay.
That's so nice. It's so nice. Good. Lovely. Wonderful. And gosh, I love, I'm going to be thinking of you in the beech trees tomorrow. That's so nice. Yeah. Marnie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. That was good. And I'm feeling the pressure of needing to go close up the house, because the cool side of the house is no longer cool because the sun has moved. And since it's so hot today, I want to try to keep it cooler. So I was aware of that while I was moving, but I was able to also just be present in the movement. So that was fine. It was good. And I thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, so thank you for coming to class, and I will send an email with a link to the wisdom interview that is coming your way, and I will just be kind of dreaming up what the next iteration of things for our little group will be in September. And as always, if you have anyone you can think of to share who might like to join, send them my way, and I can send them classes so they can try things out. And then over the course of the next 6 weeks or so, I'll be just cycling back through the foundational movement medicine program, where we start with diaphragm work for a couple of weeks, breath work, I should say, foundations of healing, and then getting into the nervous system work and then getting into the kind of enlivening work. And my focus in part is injury recovery, but as I do this work more and more, it's so much about, you know, like these classes are like, let's come home to ourselves again and again and again and again, and just keep coming home to ourselves until that capacity to be at home in our beings spills out into the rest of the day. And it's just a practice that we need over and over. But also it's just so good. I feel that this work, for those of us who've struggled with energy, low energy, and especially like with adrenal fatigue and autoimmune conditions, that's really like, this is such important work to help to move inflammation out of the body, to find the wellness in our systems and recover from especially from adrenal fatigue and low energy. So that being said, I'll be in connection with all of you, and I'm here. Any questions are always welcome. And yes, Claire, yes.
The banking thing, was it me or you?
It's her.
The banking.
Oh yeah, it's my system. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Fine.
I'm sorry. I am. Okay.
No, it's not an apology. I just thought it was me, and then I checked I thought.
Yes, that's because I paused all of your memberships. And
Oh.
then weird like two-step process where I pause it in one program and then it for some reason doesn't coordinate with the other. So I didn't know it was going to do that, but anyhow, just there.
Cool.
Ignore it.
So I just leave it and then it will.
Yes, but you know what? If you guys, okay, let me just pause this recording for the people who are watching. You probably don't need to hear about the banking issues. Love you.
Housewife work.
Love you all who've been watching. Thank you for coming to class.